Alright, so this next video in the Photoshop 101 videos, we're going to go over the blur tools, the Sharpen Tool, Smudge Tool. So the blur tool is essentially a tool. We'll go ahead and actually right click and rasterize this layer because it's a smart object and won't let us use the blur tool unless that layer is rasterized. The blur tool is not a tool that's used extremely, it's not very common. There are better ways to blur objects or backgrounds of objects or something like that, but it is a tool that you can use to kind of get rid of the clarity of like a background. Say we want only this boy to stand out. We can click on the blur tool and blur out everything that's around him, and it'll give us just him in the focus. Like I said, it's not something that is used very much. You can modify the size. The brush that you're using right now is just using a soft brush, so say we went to a hard brush. The hard brush is going to blur things a little bit more, and then obviously you can set different modes to it and then the strength to it. So say we'll set the strength to 100% and let's see what happens when we actually use the blur on the background. It didn't look like a whole lot was happening with that soft brush, but you can see it's blurring out that tree a little bit. It's a very underwhelming brush. It's not super necessary. We'll blur out these trees over here in this corner just to kind of give us more of a focal point. There are better ways to use this brush, and for the designs that we make, or that I make rather, I don't really have a need for this. I would say if you're into photography or something like that, it might be a better tool for you to potentially use to just do quick little spot blurs on things, but again, not really necessary. You've got the Sharpen tool. Again, there's better ways to sharpen images in Photoshop. We'll go ahead and press Z, and then we'll zoom in a little bit on the back of this kid here. We'll go back over to that sharpen brush, and we'll just sharpen the edges around the kid, clicking a few times, and it'll kind of bring that image forward a little bit, sharpen it a little bit more. If you over sharpen, you might get some little contrast here. So we'll click on the move tool. You can see here I've kind of sharpened that too much and it doesn't look great on his shirt there, but this tool for what we're doing, I'll hit Control Z, is not a great tool either. The smudge tool, I do use the smudge tool quite a bit. It helps me smooth out certain color transitions or things like that, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to smudge that image. So this isn't a great picture to show smudging. We can kind of show it here maybe potentially. There's a little lens flare on his pants here. Say we wanted to potentially remove that lens flare. What we would do is we make our brush a little bit smaller to kind of fit his leg a little bit, and we'll drag some of the gray from his pants over the top of that, and you can kind of see you can remove that lens flare. The only issue with using the smudge tool like this over other tools is it does give you kind of a distorted smudged look. Now some designs, some things you can hide that, so that's not really an issue. You can see it doesn't look super great. We'll zoom back out and we'll take a look at it fully, but it's not really a tool. It doesn't look terrible actually from back out here, but it's not really a tool that you use. None of these three things are used often in the types of designs that I make or that you'll probably be making. So they're not really necessary. The next little section here, we'll go over the dodge, burn, sponge tool. These have a little bit more use, but again, are not super useful. But with all the videos that we're doing, I'm just going over all of the tools here that we have at our disposal, and then leave it up for you to decide what tools you want. So we'll see you in the next video.